Hello and welcome to this impromptu tour of the Conservatoire Citroën on the outskirts of Paris. This is a rare and unexpected treat because I honestly forgotten I had this. I took this footage in July 2017 when I was there to do a gallery for MSN, and right at the end of the 3-hour stint I had inside here, I thought, you know what would be really good is to do a quick tour of the entire warehouse, because that's basically what it is, within 10-15 minutes, and try and get as many cars as I could before I was chucked out. Time was limited, and so it was literally me walking around with my smartphone trying to get as many as possible. Look, Picasso Cup, the coolest Picasso you're ever likely to see. Eat your heart out, Ronnie Pickering. But there's 400 cars in here. Well, I think there's up to 400 cars. I don't think all of them were in here at the time. I know there's a second warehouse just out of view. Look in the background, there's a Citroën Activa. Looking up, look, fantastic picture of the AX. But everywhere you go, and this is what it was like when I was there. Look, there's a couple of models there, I guess, from motor shows when motor shows were still a thing. But it really was, everywhere you looked, left, right, up, down, there was something to see, and your mind was constantly getting distracted. It's like, talk about a kid at a sweet shop. I was very much that kid, high on sugar and Fanta. And everywhere I went, I was being distracted. Again, like, for example, here, you're looking at two presidential cars, and you're like, your mind's blown by the sight of these presidential cars. And then, whoops, look over left, and there's the RE2 helicopter, the rotary engine helicopter, which was quite literally grounded by Peugeot. And then you see an H van that isn't serving coffees and expensive sandwiches. And then you come back to the DS of 1968. This Pompidou and de Gaulle sat in the back of that. Remarkable machine. There's a more modern presidential car there, but in the background, your eyes are constantly taken by the SM, and then the C3 Charleston in the background. And it just gets better and better. I just want to give you a heads up that there are some yellow fogs coming up on the left-hand side, so prepare your jaw in accordance. But I just wanted to share this with you. The footage isn't great because it was filmed on a smartphone 3 years ago, but I think it's too good to be left on my hard drive at home. It just needs to be shared. I just wanted to bring it out into the open. I didn't go down that line, which was a mistake. There was a couple of lines I didn't go down. But on the left-hand side here, you'll see an electric Citroën AX, and I think that's an electric post van as well. And then what has to be the biggest collection of rally raid Citroëns in the world. Someone's left the door open on the Zara, which I was obviously tempted to get in. Just out of view on the right-hand side, you saw those really bizarre Berlingo concepts, which actually ought to be part of a feature on PetrolBlog at some point. And then you just see, as far as I can see, it's just racing cars of old and new, and we'll come on to some of the older ones in a minute. I didn't go down this line. If you look down there, there's a Citroën BX4TC, a street version of the BX4TC. It's like I should have gone and seen that. There's an AX there. There's a ZX16 valve from the race series in France, and just behind that you've got the rally version of the 4TC. So that's two in one building. What are the chances of seeing that outside an auction house? Down the left-hand side here, you've got just an AX just going out of view there, and then you've got loads and loads of Visas. I think that one there, before I go on, that's the Lotus Esprit turbo engine. Visa Lotus. I mean, I've never seen that in the metal. I think there's more Visas in this room than there are on the road in the UK. I'd like to check that, but there must be. I've never seen this many Visas in my life. Then you've got the X27 race car with a CX next to it, so I just bang the light out of excitement. It just gets better. And look, you've got the bread van SM. I think I stalled here for a couple of seconds just to take in the wonder of the SM bread van. One of the most maddest things I've ever seen. And then you've got my favourite SM of all time, which was the pre-prototype version to test tyres, I think, at high speed. A remarkable machine. We'll come back to that in a minute because I can't get enough of it. There's the Operation Dragon Citroën AX of 1988, which went out to China, as the name would suggest. Don't think there's many of those left. You've got tracked vehicles just languishing in the corner. And just in front of them, you've got probably the most famous three of the most famous 2CVs in the world. These are the ones that were discovered in the attic, in their as-discovered state. And look, one of the 250 Citroën AXs that were destined for the 1939 Paris Motor Show just sat here. It's the only one left. Then you've got the 2CV Cross just gone out of view, the 2CV Road Africa just gone out of view. Back to my favourite SM, which is just remarkable. I said remarkable again. I say it's remarkable far too often, but it's perfectly justified for this place. It's not open to the public. You have to be invited in. There's a difference between the pre-facelift and the post-facelift Zaras there. You have to be invited in. So it was a real privilege. And I had the whole place to myself for 3 hours. That was the beauty of it. I was in glorious self-isolation, although there's not much social distancing going on here. That's one of the M35s that were mostly destroyed, the rotary engine car that were mostly destroyed. And just before that was the GS rotary engine car. Again, the chance of seeing those next to each other, almost non-existent, I would have thought, in the world. It's just one of the best places I've been. I can't remember many things I did in 2017, apart from my family holiday. So this is the only thing I can remember. So it must have been great. Moving down, we've got more SMs, we've got Maharis coming up. We've got more Maharis there than you'll see outside a sunny resort in France. It's just a great place. There's the C60 of 1960, which is a weird thing. It's part AMI and part DS. Never saw the light of day. And there's probably my favourite Robert Optron concept, the Project L, which has got a mostly SM interior. It's got an SM V6 engine, but it's got a GS steering wheel, I noticed when I was looking through it. Again, I've never seen that in the metal. Probably never get a chance to see it ever again. More 2CV bums than you're ever likely to see outside of a 2CV rally. Just the scale of it, and everywhere you look, there's something different, and it's impossible for someone like me to sort of focus on one thing at a time. 2CV Charleston, I remember those when they were 2 a penny in the UK, the 2CV Charleston, not so much now. Just look at it, even bonnets up. So you can tell it's a Citroën repository because there's bonnets up. And WTCC cars at the end. Again, I've never seen those in the metal, having never been to one of the races. Loads of concept cars there, look, sort of motor show cars. There's the Carrying there, which I'll come back to in a minute, because that's the GS there is the one I drove. That's just out of view. And then we've got this UFO, which looks like an oversized computer mouse. Totally out of place, but equally as eccentric as all the cars around it. So again, I've forgotten that existed, even if I remembered it existed in the first place. And the 2CV coming up here, this is the For Your Eyes Only 2CV, which is actually powered by a Citroën GS. Remember Roger Moore driving? I think was it a Olive Grove or the Walnut? It was something. There's my favourite SM. Look at all the yellow headlights and yellow fog light action. Look at all the traction Avance. Such a remarkable car. And there's the original 1939 2CV with the starter handle and a single headlight, which just makes it look slightly bizarre. As I say, there's one guy who looks after this place, the guy from Citroën Heritage, a chap called Yannick Billy. He was the guy who was driving the GS out right at the start of the video. Didn't speak a word of English. My French isn't great, but kind of united by the language of Petrolhead and the fact that my jaw was constantly on the floor. I think he knew I appreciated what he'd done here. All of these cars are running, apart from obviously the static concepts. There's the X3 the GS X3 that I drove. All of these cars run, and I think they're used on heritage events. There's the Carrying, and what's great about that is it's got a digital dashboard. I mean, how contemporary is that? It's got a digital infotainment system. Not that Citroën would ever use the word infotainment. There's a bust of Andre himself in a replica of his office back in the day. There's the Eiffel Tower, famously lit up with the Citroën logo back in the day. More models. I've never seen so many models. I mean, huge, big models as well. And how good does that look? I mean, on its anniversary year, I suggest you check out Rose to Life's video on the GS, because that's one of the best videos I've seen on the GS in many a year. If you haven't subscribed to Rose to Life's YouTube channel, I'll put a link in the description, because it's one of the best. But yeah, I'll leave you with this and just say thanks for watching, because it brings it all back. It brings it all back. What a great day it was.